The knock on my door wasn't just about unpaid rent, it was the moment my entire world shifted. Mr. Blake stood there, not with threats, but with a question I never expected. That night, I wasn't just forced to make a choice. I was handed the pen to rewrite my life. What I did next, even I couldn't believe. The silence in my apartment wrapped around me like a shroud, thick and oppressive, as if it held secrets too dangerous to whisper. For 3 long months, the rent remained untouched, and all my choices slipped away like whispers in the night. I was losing grip, not just on my finances, but on my sense of self. Each day blurred into the next. The coffee tasted like paper. The air smelled like regret. Then came the knock from Mr. Blake, my landlord, a man whose intense gaze sent shivers down my spine. He wasn't merely seeking the overdue rent. He offered something I knew I should turn away from, yet desperation urged me to consider it. I couldn't say no. The unexpected knock on the door sent a jolt through me. My worn robe, a fragile shield against the world, felt achingly inadequate as I held it closer, yearning for warmth and connection. I stepped into the room, feeling the weight of Mr. Blake's gaze linger on me, slow and intense. "Sophia," he murmured, his voice a chilling whisper, "you are 3 months behind." I tightened the robe around me, a desperate attempt to shield myself from the unspoken tension between us. "I understand, Mr. Blake. I just need a little more time." He crossed the threshold without permission, and the air in the small room thickened, wrapping around us like a secret. "It's a heartbreaking situation," he whispered, his eyes locked onto mine. "To witness someone like you in such turmoil. So capable, yet weighed down by something invisible." A rush of heat crept into my cheeks. "I'll find a way," he murmured, the weight of unspoken options heavy in his voice. "Time, my dear, does not settle debts." I had tried everything, long hours that drained my spirit, desperate pleas that fell on deaf ears, and the heart-wrenching loss of things I once held dear. Nothing had ever felt quite right. "Please," I whispered, my voice trembling, "just a little longer." He looked at me, a fleeting spark of something deep and unreadable passing between us. "Or perhaps there's another way to resolve this." My heart raced as the unspoken truth hung in the air, electric and undeniable. "What are you implying?" "Oh, come now, Sophia," he whispered, his tone unreadable. "You're a woman of remarkable awareness." The air grew heavier, thick with something unspoken, and I felt the distance between right and wrong blur like steam on a mirror. "This could remain private," he added quietly. His words dangled like bait, glimmering with danger. He stepped closer, but I took a breath and met his eyes. "Are you asking for something you shouldn't?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The look in his eyes said it all: possibility, compromise, temptation. A memory flared. My mother once said, "Dignity is not what you hold on to in comfort, but what you preserve in desperation." I didn't respond. I didn't move. And then, the decision began to form, slow, silent, irreversible. I stood there for what felt like hours, wrapped in silence and indecision, as Mr. Blake's presence lingered like smoke. His gaze never faltered, and the quiet between us became louder than any words. "I can make your troubles vanish," he finally said softly. I didn't answer. He smiled faintly, not smug, knowing. "Sometimes," he continued, "the door that opens isn't the one we wanted, but it may still lead somewhere warmer." His words wrapped around me, equal parts comfort and warning. With a heavy heart, I nodded. Once, barely perceptible, but enough. He said nothing more. He simply extended a hand. Not to grab, not to take, but to offer. The rest of the evening passed like a dream I couldn't interpret. He returned the next day, this time with a box. Inside was a dress, dark burgundy silk that shimmered with a quiet promise. I stared at it, fingers brushing its hem, my thoughts a maze of fear, dignity, and curiosity. Later, in front of the mirror, I slipped it on. It clung to me like a second skin, whispering of confidence I hadn't worn in months. Mr. Blake stood at the door, his eyes soft but unreadable. You look radiant, he said, his voice low. They'll adore you. I stiffened. They. He smiled. Friends, he replied casually. They're generous men. Polite. Curious. I opened my mouth, but no words came. My breath hitched. My heart raced. I promised your worries would vanish, he said gently. And they will. You'll be safe. Just trust yourself. You've always known your own worth. That night, I waited in the living room, the fabric of the dress whispering against my skin with every small breath. The knock came at 8:47 p.m. Precise. Predictable. 2 men entered, dressed sharply, confident, but not unkind. Their eyes didn't rove, they rested. Intent, searching. The room filled with a strange warmth, almost reverence. They didn't lunge, didn't leer. They waited, watching me the way you'd watch a tide shift, patient and quiet. I moved deliberately, guiding them in, the echoes of each step louder than my thoughts. My fingers trembled as I tucked a loose strand behind my ear. You're more beautiful than I imagined, one said, his voice full of something softer than desire. Maybe awe, maybe guilt. We didn't speak of arrangements. We didn't speak of what came next. I stood in front of them, feeling the enormity of every second, and then I took a breath. Not for them. For me. And I said, show me who you really are. They did not smile, but they softened. One extended a hand, not to take, but to connect, and the other stepped closer, the distance dissolving without force or hurry. In that stillness, something strange happened. I stopped thinking. I started feeling. Not shame. Not power. Something else. Control, maybe. Or clarity. The kind of clarity that only comes from walking a path you never imagined but now choose, moment by moment. They moved closer, not like predators, but like men who knew the cost of longing. One reached for my hand, slowly, asking without words. The other lingered, a step behind, as though unsure whether this was a dream or a dare. I didn't pull away. Instead, I met their gaze, steady, unflinching. I'm not a transaction, I whispered, my voice steady. Not anymore. We don't think you are, one of them said gently. You're unforgettable. Something softened inside me. Not because of flattery, but because I finally believed I had value, even here, in this strange, uncharted moment. They didn't rush. They listened. Every gesture was cautious, almost reverent. We moved through the evening like dancers in slow rhythm. Close, but not tangled. Intimate, but not consumed. It wasn't about surrender. It was about presence. And for once, I wasn't acting out of desperation. I was choosing. Later, when the silence returned, heavy and warm, they sat with me. Not touching. Just breathing the same air. One of them broke it gently. You're not like anyone I've ever met. I smiled, tired but sincere. Neither are you. He reached into his coat and pulled out a sealed envelope, placing it carefully on the table. For the rent, he said simply. No conditions. I didn't touch it. I needed a moment. Mr. Blake returned the next morning. His eyes scanned my face, curious, unreadable. Well, he asked, voice careful. They were kind, I said. More than I expected. And the envelope? Still on the table. He raised an eyebrow. I'll decide what it's worth when I know what I'm worth, I said. He smiled faintly. You've already begun to figure that out, haven't you? I nodded, slowly. Maybe. He turned to leave, but paused at the door. If you ever want to rewrite your story, he said without turning back, start from where you took back the pen. That night, I sat in the window, watching the city move beneath me. For the first time in months, I didn't feel haunted by silence. I felt held by it. The past hadn't vanished, but it no longer ruled me. I didn't know where this path would go, but it was mine now. And that made all the difference. If this story stirred something in you, share your thoughts below. Have you ever faced a choice that changed everything? Tap like, subscribe, and join me again for more untold truths and unexpected turns. We walk through fire. We come out forged. Until next time.